Hi, well, thank you for agreeing for the interview for Hotel Vikas. You delivered a great speech today. With a lot
Thank
of
you,
great
my pleasure.
statistics.
My pleasure.
Why don't you tell us about your estimate of 2018, which are the emerging markets, high growth markets, and the drivers for those high growth markets?
So, from a market standpoint, what we're seeing in 2018, markets such as Nashville, Tennessee, right now is leading in the amount of rooms that are under construction. There are 5,500 rooms currently under construction, which represents 13% of the existing supply. A lot of the economic drivers there are around healthcare and education. Tennessee as a state is very business friendly, so we're seeing a lot of corporations that are moving their corporate headquarters to Nashville, which is also driving this economic growth. The second largest market is no surprise, it's New York City. They do have the largest number of rooms at 12,000 plus rooms currently under construction, which represents about 11% of their existing supply. New York City is one of those markets that continues to grow and grow. Obviously, the demand drivers in New York City are quite diverse. What is interesting is what we are seeing in the types of properties that are opening up over the past couple of years have been more in the select service versus full service properties, which is no surprise in the sense of cost of construction, the amount of land accessibility as well. It's quite difficult. From a market standpoint, where we're seeing really a good amount of recovery, San Francisco is recovering from an occupancy standpoint. Their conference center was closed last year, and so we are forecasting that they will start to see some growth in occupancy and rate in 2018.
Okay, they went down, the rates went down in the...
The rates went down and the occupancy dropped below 83%.
Correct.
And for that market, that is actually not good. They really do, from a profitability standpoint, need to keep occupancies above 83%.
Yeah.
From what we hear from our operators in the market, that's that number, and when it drops below, it gives them a little bit of heartburn. Some other markets that are doing quite well, Detroit. Detroit, though, it's taken a while from a recovery standpoint, but they're doing well in occupancy and ADR growth.
What is the driver for Detroit?
Detroit, it's really a revitalization of the downtown.
Oh, okay.
There's a good amount of investment dollars that are going into the infrastructure, and for the longest time they haven't had a lot of new development, and they've had a lot of offices and buildings that have been shut down, and what we're seeing is those repurposes of that piece of real estate as the market is starting to come back.
Got it, yeah.
So I think all in all, from a 2018 standpoint, while we see in our pipeline 70% of the hotels are going to be in that select service, there are going to be about 8 or 9 new hotels opening in 2018 that has meeting square footage of 50,000 square feet or more. So big boxes are coming up. We have one in Nashville. The JW Marriott is opening with a very large amount of square foot in meeting space. That does say a lot about just the health of the group business as well.
Okay.
So
I have a couple of more questions about this idea of a combined entertainment complex with the hotel, with the entertainment options. Where do you see those entertainment complexes coming up? The leisure travel.
So you're seeing those actually, Las Vegas has got some new hotels that are coming on board, which it's been a while since we've seen some big properties opening up in Las Vegas. You've also seen MGM reposition their Monte Carlo to a new upscale property that is also part of the overall entertainment complex. One of the things, and of course in LA where they're building the new football stadium, there's some talk about potentially there'll be a mixed use and could there be a hotel component. A lot of that is driven by not only the revenue that can be driven by rooms, but in a hotel operation, food and beverage is the second largest department from a revenue growth standpoint. So if you are in one of these complexes where you have a great food and beverage component, you're going to have the foot traffic of just the person who may not be staying at your hotel coming in and dining and driving revenue.
Got it.
You also have, if you have meeting space, you have the banquets and catering revenue that's being driven by groups that could also have some rooms that are contributed to them. But it's looking at some of those other departments where you can drive revenue other than rooms, I feel, is where this is really kind of coming from.
Great. One last question about the tennises. You said that bachelorette's party is driving the growth in Nashville.
Well, it's a little bit of a joke, the bachelorette parties.
Okay.
However, there are more and more bachelorette parties downtown in Nashville. It is insane, and we're seeing them come. And I don't know if it's the show Nashville that's driven them to come to Nashville, but living in Nashville and being a frequenter of downtown, you see them around quite a bit, and you see them in the airport. So our analyst, in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, a lot of the leisure being driven by bachelorette parties. That's probably one of the demand drivers, but not the only demand driver.
I got it. Thank you so much for this wonderful interview.
Thank you for your time.
If we have more questions, I'll send you an email.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.